Oh, welcome, welcome, welcome. There you are. Here I am. Greetings, Joe from Sapporo. More like Sapporo Ichiban. you got a you got a Sapporo in front of you, buddy. Um, it is October 28th. It's almost the end of October. This is kind of crazy. We're basically mid fall at this point, and yeah, it's been a bit of a nutty week in news. I got a few things to talk about this week. It's kind of nice. Unfortunately, some of them have to do with the whole election jazz. I like to stay away from this stuff, but we are about a little over a week out, so it's gonna be, yeah, that's all the news cycle is gonna be. So I'm gonna touch on it, but so I apologize in advance. But yeah, we're gonna talk about Trump being on Rogan. Wow, that's pretty awesome. I'm sure you watched it, Joe. I watched it. It was a little bit of a slow start, but it turned out really good. I liked it. I thought it was a really good thing. I think it was a good look for Trump. Anytime he gets a chance to talk uninterrupted and without a bunch of bullshit going on behind him or around him, I think it's good. And Joe seemed to be good at kind of roping him down and getting a good interview out of him as opposed to a bluster fest. So I thought it was really quite good. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the idea that he snubbed Harris. I don't know. I don't think so. He says he didn't, and I believe him. So, but we'll talk about it. Also, we're going to talk about Tony Hinchcliffe at the rally, at a Trump rally. He had some oops. He had some oops things to say. He missed on a couple of jokes. Whatever. One particular about Puerto Rico. Oops. I don't know. What are you going to do? Comedians miss sometimes. It just, whatever. People are a little bit too uppity about stuff like that. So we'll talk about that. Also, a libtard, well, for lack of a better word, screamed at a kid at a Harris rally. It's on video. It's a viral video going around now. Pretty sad, but kind of par for the course with these real hardcore libtards, right? So it's not indicative of the left of center people that will support Harris, but the fringe, I think, for sure. So yeah, we'll talk about that. Maybe play the video, see how that goes. Also, the Menendez brothers, if you don't know who they were two douche lord dudes that murdered their. I shouldn't say that word. I'm gonna get a little bit censored for that. Probably they unlifed their parents back in '89. I think it was. There was a big Netflix special about it. You may have watched it. Well, now Kim Kardashian's jumped on their little bandwagon, and they might be released as early as next year. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm kind of indifferent, but at the same time, I think if you brutally unalive your parents, you should probably just be unalived yourself or spend the rest of your life in prison. But that's just my take. So we'll talk about that. What's up, Robert? Good to see you, buddy. Back from the bush. Oh, nice. New under the sun. Well, not here. We're not really under much sun anymore. It's kind of getting cool around here, so we're under light, light and cool air. Good to see you, buddy. We'll also talk about Volkswagen and the plant closures that they plan to do in Germany. It's all kind of related to the EV, whatever, debacle, fiasco, whatever you want to call it, that Volkswagen has been entrenched in. Volkswagen, Audi. It's not going very well, their EV program, especially over in Europe. So they're going to close some plants. Yeah, that's what happens. I mean, when you start to get on this idea that you're going to replace regular cars with a bunch of EV cars, but we don't have the infrastructure or anything to support it, well, you get into some problems. So that's what they're running into. We'll talk about it. And lastly, we'll talk about some toxic air in Delhi finally becoming a pretty major problem. So, and unfortunately with air, it's not contained. So this is going to become a global problem. And yeah, it's a good thing that we're doing a lot of carbon initiatives over here in the West when they don't seem to be doing much of that over there. So we'll talk about it. But yeah, if you are watching this and you like the podcast and you want to support it, the best way to support it is obviously to become a subscriber if you're not yet a subscriber. Like, comment, share the content. All that kind of stuff helps a small channel grow and sustain itself. I mean, there's no money involved in it, but it keeps me wanting to do it. If I see more and more subscribers, then I know you like it. And if you don't like it, well, let me know you don't like it in the comments. I like those comments too. I kind of like the nasty comments as long as they're funny. I get a kick out of it. So I don't have real, I have pretty thick skin. We'll put it that way. I have a number of reasons for that. So yeah. So if you do like it, let me know. And if you miss any part of the podcast, you want to check out smaller doses of them in bite-sized clips, you can get it over the week between Tuesday and Sunday. I always want to say Thursday. 5 o'clock Eastern. You can catch them then. And obviously with those clips, you're going to want to, if you want to help me out, you want to share them, like them, comment on those, all that kind of stuff, all the engagement. So yeah. All right. Well, let's, without further ado, let's get into this first thing. I think I'm going to go long on this first subject just because it was cool and I have a strong opinion on it. Let me plop this up here. Boop, boop. Here we go. So Joe Rogan finally went against himself and he had Trump on his podcast. Finally, about time. Been hoping that would happen. I think Trump's been doing the rounds. He's been going on the podcast. So he was on PBD recently. I think he was with what's his face, Theo Vaughn. He's been on all these podcasts and he's been doing this, making the rounds. So finally, I guess Joe decided to have him on, which is awesome. If you watch this, you'll know what I'm saying. It started out a little slow. It was a little bit, I think Joe was trying to feel out Trump and how to talk to him and how to get him to, how to kind of get him to answer the questions as well as just kind of engage properly. Because I think Trump is used to having his hackles up a little and being attacked. So it was kind of like almost like relaxing Trump at first, and then it went quite smoothly and quite well. That's one of Joe's strong suits. He's able to really interview people well, and it doesn't feel like an interview. It feels more like a discussion. So it was really good. If you haven't watched it, I suggest you watch it. But let's read this article here. This is don't worry, it's not a very good article here. It's the New Republic, so don't expect much. It says Fox News, yes, really, exposes Joe Rogan's shady pro-Trump move. So I wonder what way these guys lean. Even Fox News has raised its eyebrows at podcasting behemoth Joe Rogan's decision not to interview Vice President Kamala Harris, despite penning in 3-hour slot for Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump. During a Sunday discussion on the network between Fox News host Howard Kurtz and pundit Carolyn Downey, the Media Buzz anchor claimed that it was Rogan who had stiffed the Harris campaign, which I call bullshit on that, because if you watch the podcast, Joe talks about that and he says that he wants to have Harris on, and he thought she was going to be on, or thought there was a good chance that she'd be on, but now he wasn't sure it was going to happen. And he was basically saying that the Harris campaign pulled out, which I would bet dollars to donuts that is what happened. It doesn't seem like it's very advantageous for her to go on Rogan. I don't think she can really handle questions at all. You watch some of the softball interviews that she's had with others like Anderson Cooper. Cooper might be right, actually. It's like he's a game character. But where he asked her about the border and stuff, and she just, about not getting things done, and she just circled him with some bullshit answer that had nothing to do with anything. It was just word salad. So I don't think she can handle it. I think she knows she couldn't handle it. So I think she pulled out. But this article suggests otherwise. Downey argued that the lopsided interview opportunity proved a net benefit to Trump's campaign, since every hit that Kamala Harris does, every TV hit that Kamala Harris does, she comes off more bitter, more angry, and more jaded, whereas Trump comes off as a normal guy. I agree with that completely. But again, if you've watched this podcast with Trump, you'll know what I mean. Even the one with PBD was the same. It was like he came off just like a normal dude. I mean, he's not going to say all the right stuff at the right times, and he rambles on a little bit, and he kind of goes off track a little bit. But everybody does that when you're having a conversation. I do it all the time on here. So Kamala Harris claims she's trying to cater to the younger generation, but she's sticking to legacy media interviews for the most part, and she refused to go on Rogan, Downey said. But Kurtz was quick to push back on Downey's behind-the-scenes speculation. Well, no, I don't think that's true. I think she wanted to go on Joe Rogan, and I don't think Rogan wanted her, Kurtz said. I think it would have been a good thing if she'd gone. So even though Rogan, I believe, has refused to have Trump on in the past, he seemed largely sympathetic to the former president. Well, he said he was. He said ever since there was an attempt on Trump's life that he was, he was more sympathetic to him. And obviously, he's always kind of said that there's nobody that's ever been treated worse by the legacy media than Trump. So he does have some kind of sympathy towards Trump. And I think they're both like real dudes. So I think he probably likes him as a person. He just doesn't necessarily agree with a lot of his political stance. And you heard him discuss the media as a bunch of left-wing Democrats, the host added. In recent weeks, Trump has dodged mainstream news appearances, including going as far as to break election tradition by refusing to sit for a 60 Minutes interview in September, which he reportedly backed out of last minute over fears that the rigorous show would fact-check him. The rigorous show? You mean the joke show would fact-check him? Yeah, well, they've shown their cards. They're obviously a left-leaning thing, or, they're in the pockets of the mainstream media. So instead, Trump has relegated his TV appearances to friendlier, more sycophantic networks, including Fox News, whose anchor Maria Bartiromo did not interrupt or correct Trump when he claimed that the real election day threat is the enemy from within, while suggesting that the military should forcibly involve itself in handling the election results. But a chat with Rogan, who hosts one of the biggest podcasts in the country for Republican and independent men, has the potential to significantly sway undecided voters for either candidate. I love that they say that. For Republican and independent men. Okay, that's an assertion that you can't back. Whatever. I told you. I kind of prefaced this article would be a bit of a dumpster fire, but so we can't expect too much. Yeah, it's if watch the podcast if you haven't watched the podcast with Trump, it was great. If you watch older podcasts of me, I'll tell you, I'm not really a Trump fan necessarily. I'm not like a big pro Trump guy, but I don't know, watching him now more in these podcasts and stuff. I think he's a really cool dude. I think he might be a really cool guy to know. I think he'd be really loyal, kind of a good friend like that. I mean, you want to get on his bad side. Obviously, he's going to talk shit about you and maybe sue you and stuff. And I think his policies are better than anyone else's right now. I don't think it's hard to have good common sense policies. I think that's where he leans on. And obviously, if you see the other side of the campaign copying his ideas, he's probably got some pretty good ones. So I don't know. I'm being pushed more towards Trump, even though I'm more of a moderate and I like to stay in the middle. But this podcast was a good thing for him, I think. Again, like I said, started out slow, so don't expect too much right off the bat. But it definitely gets a lot better, and then finishes off quite well. The 3 hours passed by pretty quick. So, but let me know what you think if you've watched it or after watching it in the comments. What do you guys say, guys? Trump did weave a lot during that. Exactly. Yeah, it was a little, especially at first, it was a little weird. There was a lot of, like, there was probably the first 20 minutes or so was a little uncomfortable for me. I was watching, I was like, oh, like, come on, man, where are you going here? Like, you're kind of like all over the place. But I think Joe was having a hard time kind of keeping him roped in at first. And you could see, this is one telltale of Joe Rogan. When he does this, see my eyebrows? When he does this, when he's like, he's either intently listening or he's irritated. And I think he was irritated with Trump at first because I think he was thinking, fuck, this is probably why I didn't want to have him on prior to this. And then it settled in. It really settled in and it started to have a good flow. And I don't feel like Trump dodged too much, but I do think he was kind of dodging a little bit on the election interference stuff. Just a little bit. I think he didn't want to get too much into that, and he dodged it a bit, but I don't blame him. I mean, everybody's going to have their thing to dodge a little and want to talk about. It's just with him, he seems to have to talk about everything. Everybody's going to be like, "Oh, Trump dodged this, Trump dodged that," but I thought he was pretty good. Um, weren't you in Wurzburg last we spoke? Yeah, he just kids, buddy. He says all kinds of different places he's at. So today he's in the middle of a Sapporo. So yeah, like I said, a Sapporo drink in one of those beers. That's where he's from today. We got here. Yeah, well, he got shot at twice, but there was a plot. There was a third plot. So um yeah, you should watch that one. Did you watch the PBD podcast with Trump? It was good too. And that's the cool thing about Patrick Bet-David. I like him in the way that he doesn't, well, he's like Rogan that way. I think he kind of makes his podcast like Rogan's, where he doesn't softball anything. And he was kind of tough on Trump a little bit too, and he roped him back. You know, I think there was a couple times where Trump was kind of like not answering the question that he was asking, and then PBD would, you know, force him back to answer the actual question, which some of it was maybe PBD's fault for not framing it properly, but it was good. It's good podcast. Trump's pretty good. I mean, Trump's just naturally good at talking. He's been in media for a long time. You know, he's obviously, you know, he's sat in front and with and among the biggest, most powerful people in the world for a long time. So I don't think anything really flaps him too much. So he's really good when he's, especially in a one-on-one. Yeah, you got lots of catching up, brother. You got to watch that podcast. Set aside 3 hours. Yeah, and I'm going to vote for sure. Oh yeah, I'm gonna come across and vote. It's funny actually. My father-in-law, he's dual citizen, so he'll be voting. He'll be voting in your election. So there you go. You get a Canadian side vote south of our border. But all right, let's get on to the next thing here. Let me plop this up. Boom, boom, boom. So if you caught the rally, though, which I don't catch any of these rallies or anything like that, I don't know who's watching them necessarily, but you probably heard that Tony Hinchcliffe, better known as Kill Tony, had a faux pas of a joke at the Trump rally. It's a little bit of a miss. A little joke about Puerto Rico being a garbage, basically a garbage island, or whatever. I don't know exactly what he said, but for the article will say it here. So I'm just going to read this article. This is The Hill. I don't mind The Hill sometimes. I don't know. We'll see what they have to say here. So GOP voices frustration discussed over Trump MSG rally. So Republicans are expressing frustration about controversial remarks made at former President Trump's Madison Square Garden rally, worrying it could complicate the Trump or the party's learn how to read, buddy, outreach to Hispanic, Latino, and Black voters. Comedian Tony Hinchcliffe, one of the featured guests at Trump's New York City event, sparked a furor after referring furor. That's kind of funny. You know, Nazi joke there. Sparked a furor after referring to Puerto Rico as a floating island of garbage. It's kind of funny when you read it. Prompting some members of the GOP, like Representative Anthony Desposito, a Republican in New York, who is Puerto Rican, come out against the remarks, and Tucker Carlson mocked Vice President Harris's racial identity. Okay. Relax. Nobody knows her racial identity at this point. Controversy comes as Republicans have looked to expand their reach with different voting cohorts, which could hold the keys to another Trump re-election. This is just a big punch in the gut for Republicans who have sincerely and over a period of time been working to grow strong relationships and roots in Puerto Rican communities, particularly here in the state of Florida, said former Representative Carlos Curbelo, who's another Republican out of Florida. Although recent polls show Harris holding the majority of support among Latino voters with a 40-point favorability gap among women, 1/3 of Latino voters remain undecided. For that reason, Trump and his allies have been working hard to shore up support among Latino voters in the closing stretch of the election, though Hinchcliffe's comments could complicate those efforts. I don't So I think they're gonna try and make a ton out of this, but whatever. I don't think it's really gonna hurt him. Excuse me. In addition to his remark about Puerto Rico, the comedian also made a crude joke about Latinos in which he said they love making babies too. Just know that they do. They do. There's no pulling out. They don't do that. They come inside just like they did to our country. That's funny. Come on, that's funny. reading that's funny. Jeez, come on, man. Get some thick skin. That's pretty funny. You just gotta. If you can't take a joke, well, too bad. I don't know. A lot of people can't take a joke. Just go in the comment sections of things. See how many people just cannot take a joke. Just don't understand sarcasm. So whatever. He's just mocking. I agree. The first one kind of missed. Whatever, calling it an island of garbage or something, kind of just missed. Even when he said it and I watched it, I was like, it read better to me. But whatever. That one kind of hit a little better. Hinchcliffe's remarks prompted several sitting GOP members of Congress to push back against the derogatory remarks. I'm proud to be Puerto Rican. My mom was born and raised in Puerto Rico, Desposito wrote on the social media platform X. It's a beautiful island with a rich culture and an integral part of the USA. The only thing that's garbage was a bad comedy set. Stay on message. Okay. Relax. Representative Maria Alveira Salazar, another Republican out of Florida, who was born in Cuba but raised in part of Puerto Rico, said on X that she was disgusted by Hinchcliffe's remarks. This rhetoric does not reflect GOP values, she said. Oh, shut up. Like, come on, relax. You can say that it was a bad joke. It was just, whatever. It was just dumb. You're going to miss. When you're making fun of people, watch roasts. They miss all the time. Some of them you go, oh, and you just cringe. Some of them you just go, ugh. Some of them you laugh your ass off. It's hit and miss. He's a joke writer. Relax. It's not like he's like a hatred pushing kind of person. He just makes fun of everybody. Senator Rick Scott, Republican out of Florida, whose successful 2018 election was won with the help of Puerto Rican voters, also said on X that the joke bombed, calling it not funny and not true. Okay, whatever. It did bomb. You listen, it kind of bombed. I mean, there was a mix. Whatever. They're not all winners. Trump campaign too has distanced itself from the comedian's rhetoric. Carolyn Leavitt, a spokesperson for the Trump campaign, said on Fox and Friends on Monday that it was a comedian who made a joke in poor taste. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's a fair comment. Obviously, that joke does not reflect the views of President Trump or our campaign, and I think it is sad that the media will pick up on one joke that was made by a comedian rather than the truths that were shared by the phenomenal list of speakers that we had, she said. That's well said. Hinchcliffe, for his part, defended his remarks, responding to criticism from Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, although these people have no sense of humor, he wrote. Wild that a vice president candidate would take time out of his busy schedule to analyze a joke taken out of context to make it seem racist. I love Puerto Rico and vacation there. Made fun of everyone. Watch the whole set. I'm a comedian. Tim. Might be time to change your tampon. It's funny that comment there. I'm gonna steelman this in a way, where he says, I love Puerto Rico and I vacation there. It's like when people say, "Oh, I'm not racist. I have a black friend." But again, I don't think he meant anything. But he's just goofing, right? They all goof. That's what comedians do. Hinchcliffe wasn't the only one who made controversial remarks about the different racial and ethnic groups during the rally. Carlson referred to Vice President Harris as a Samoan, Malaysian, low IQ former California prosecutor, despite the fact that Harris is neither Samoan nor Malaysian, but rather black and Indian American. I love that out of the three things he said there, they only combat the two. He's not Samoan or Malaysian. He also did call her a low IQ former California prosecutor. Oh, we can't dispute that. She is kind of low IQ. Okay. Oh, there you go, Hill. That's good. Trump ally Rudy Giuliani used racist stereotypes about Palestinians in his address at the rally, claiming they may have good people. I'm sorry, I don't take a risk with people that are taught to kill Americans at 2. Well, whatever. He's not a comedian, so whatever. Got a small point. Democrats have used the speaker's comments to double down on their criticism of Trump. Talking to reporters on Monday, Harris criticized Trump's New York rally, calling it nonsense. Donald Trump spends full time trying to have Americans point their finger at each other, fans the fuel of hate and division, and that's why people are exhausted with him. People are literally ready to turn the page. They're tired of it, Harris said. Oh, okay. He should have said she's the dumpster fire. All right, that's enough. This keeps going on. So yeah, he made a joke. Maybe not a good joke. They're not all winners, people. So whatever. This is just a week ahead of election. This is just throwing a bunch of shit at the fan, bunch of smoke out there just to disperse around and get people to not see that Harris is the dumpster fire. It's the way they do it, right? I don't think it's not gonna. I don't think it'll affect Tony Hinchcliffe's career. In fact, I think it'll probably bolster it a little bit. And I don't think it's gonna do much against Trump. It's just a bunch of bluster and a bunch of stupidity. They're just gonna keep trying to jump all over, just like they did with things that Trump didn't actually say, and they say he did. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. You say, which joke do you think you mean the one where he? Hold on, which one was it? The one I read and I laughed at. It says, what was that? Okay. Oh, where you pull out? They don't do that. They come inside just like they did our country. That one got me. I didn't pre-read this article, so that was that legit got me. And I didn't watch his set, so that one just got me. But I watched the video of him saying the garbage island thing. It just wasn't funny. And I don't know. It wasn't bad. It wasn't either. I wasn't like offended or anything, but I just didn't laugh. So, but that one got me. Reading that got me for sure. Okay. Everybody else, you guys. Yeah, exactly. Manufactured outrage. That's well said. Where were you 2 minutes ago when I was saying it on the recorded video there? Yeah, manufactured outrage. My brain didn't find it. That's exactly what they do. They just want to get people, stirred up, and they do it at the end, right? They try and because people won't remember like 3 months ago, so they'll remember like 2 days ago. Oh yeah, he said that thing about let's just gonna really stick to Trump now. I'm gonna vote for Harris. Like cutting your nose off, spite your own face. Yeah, I'm gonna vote for the worst candidate to stick to that guy because and then I'm gonna pay more at the pump and more for groceries and but yeah, I really stuck it to him. People are dumb. Yeah, an insult to Samoans and Malaysians. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Puerto Rico. You like the Puerto Rico joke? I didn't really like it. I just thought whatever. It's not that like I said, I just didn't think it was all that funny. But that other one, jeez, they don't pull out, man. Never do. They only come inside. Good. All right, let's get on to the next thing here. Staying with politics. So a Harris rally goer thought it was a good idea to yell at a kid. As you do. I mean, kids deserve to be yelled at, especially for politics. Getting way too political nowadays. I'm going to read this article. This is Fox News. I don't usually read much from Fox News just because I like to stay with the enemies, So Fox News, not that there aren't the enemies, it's part of the MSN, but MSM, say. Yeah, so I usually don't get much from them. Plus, when I'm looking for articles, I don't find a lot on Fox News because I don't think they just Google search in the news. Try that. That's a little homework assignment for you. Type in the news and see what you get. See if Fox News comes up for you. Doesn't come up for me. I can go down 3 pages, don't find it. I have to type in Fox News. Funny little thing. But okay, so I'm going to read this article from Fox News. This apparent Harris rally goer screams at baby in stroller in shocking viral video. So let me see if this will play here. I don't know, it's been spinning around for a little bit, and then I'll read the article here. Play or not. I don't think I can play it. Oh, there we go. Maybe. There we go. She has pigtails. She's an adult with pigtails. That probably tells you what you need to know. She's speaking to on her level. That's she doesn't know any better. That's all she knows. She knows how to speak to the. She went, oh, here's a peer. Let me speak my political views to this one, who clearly is here for politics. So let's see what this has to say. A video of a woman screaming at a toddler outside of Vice President Kamala Harris's celebrity-packed Houston rally is going viral on social media as critics slam the shocking behavior seen toward a child. Harris's Texas rally Friday was joined by celebrities such as Beyonce, Jessica Alba, and Willie Nelson. Ooh, there's some big names. To make a last-ditch appeal to voters in the red state ahead of next week's election. A video posted to social media shortly after the event shows a woman in a light blue t-shirt standing outside what appears to be a Houston metro station, walking over to a little girl in a stroller among the throngs of people decked out in Harris Wallace apparel. The woman in the light blue shirt is seen leaning down to the toddler in the stroller and screaming in her face. I don't know why I laughed at that. Sometimes you just got to yell at a kid. Screw them kids. What kid was doing there? Get out of here. Probably wearing a Trump hat. It's unclear what the woman said and what provoked the incident. A man, likely the young girl's father, quickly picked up the toddler and removed her from the woman's direct line of ire. The shocking video then shows another woman quickly confronting the screaming woman, pulling her away from the girl and admonishing her for the outburst. Not at the baby, not at the baby. Yell at the others. The woman who intervened was seen telling the screaming woman. The girl's father was holding a microphone during the exchange and was later heard asking the screaming woman, "Are you not ashamed at all? Look at her face." It is unclear if the father was a counter-protester at the rally or why he had a microphone. The video has racked up more than 22 million views on X alone as of Monday morning. So, yeah, anyways. So here's some more, just showing some of the X posts of that video. Pretty sad when you're yelling at a kid. I don't know what the thought process was there, but like I said, she had some pigtails, and she's a woman. That's not really, I don't know, unless you're doing some kind of fetish. Maybe she was coming from work. I don't know. Maybe she's into fetishing, and she was just on her way home from work, and she saw this clear Trump supporting 2-year-old, and just had to give her a piece of her mind. I don't know. I say, good for you. Thank you for fighting the good fight. Dunce. I'm 10 years away from sitting on a rocking chair on his porch, shaking his fist at kids, yelling, telling him to get off his lawn even though they're playing in the street. I already do that. Fuck them kids. What are you doing on the street? You're too close to my house. Your ball might hit my car. Yeah, listen, I've had some decent cars and been worried when I see kids playing like street hockey fairly close, or, basketball fairly close. I've seen it. I've seen where a ball gets away and boom off the hood, or, I've been the kid, take a slap shot, errantly miss, and smack in the side of a car. Done it. So, yeah, fuck them kids. You don't want kids playing by your shit. Get them off the street. I yell at them now. I'm not going to wait. Yeah. Democrat babysitter. Yeah. Yeah. See? Handlebars. You're right. Handlebars. They're not pigtails. Handlebars. Yeah. That's not why you have insurance, man. Insurance. I hate when people say that. It's like, no, Joe. Nobody's making calls to insurance for all the little bullshit stuff. You just take it. You just go, fuck. And you just live with it. Like I bought it. I had a few years ago. I had a brand new Hyundai Tucson I bought. Within, I don't know, a week, somebody smucked my back door, put a big dent in my back door. The only reason why I ended up fixing it at all was somebody rear-ended me on the highway. So, well, actually, the guy behind me rear-ended him and then him into me. So when they fixed that, I said, fix this too. And it cost me $500 out of pocket because they couldn't put it in the insurance thing. And I didn't want to make the claim on insurance. So, no, man. The more claims you make, the worse it is for you. So sometimes, and if you got a deductible, and I usually carry a $500 deductible. So that was a zero wash for me. If I would have claimed it, they'd have been like, oh, your deductible's $500. And I'd have been like, ah, shit. Okay. They'd be like, we're paying $37 towards your repair. So no, you just have to eat shit. Sometimes you got to eat shit sandwich. And kids will make you eat a shit sandwich. And if they're not your kids, they're someone else's fucking kids with a ball, it's not as palatable to eat that shit sandwich. I don't like the taste. I don't like the taste anyway, but I like the taste even less when it's your kid hitting my car. So I will yell from my comfortable rocking chair on my porch. Yeah. I just explained why you shouldn't. Jeez, man. Any hoo-ha in Canada about BC elections yet? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I was going to talk about it. But there was too many other things to talk about. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I'll leave it alone for now. Maybe next week. But I don't know. I told you guys, I hate politics. I hate getting into politics too much. And it doesn't seem like anybody likes to really watch small channels talking about politics. There's probably a ton of them. So, I'm never having a baby, buddy. I'll be 46 next week. Actually, the end of this week. And so no kids for me. We're done. That's it. The baby making factory is shut down. Been shut down for a while. All right. Next thing here. Get through this shit. The rest of it won't take long. The first few things, I think, were the time-taking elements. Then we'll talk more about my baby making decisions. So the Menendez brothers, if you don't know who they are, I will quickly bring you up to speed. If you don't know who they are and you're watching this, I don't know why, but they are the two pricks who brutally killed their parents with shotguns back in '89. So I said all the words. This is gonna get throttled down. I don't know why I just said them all, but I did. Too bad. It's done now. But yeah, so Kim Kardashian has jumped on their bandwagon, and after the whole Netflix, she probably watched the Netflix special and went, "Oh, these guys, I feel so sorry for them." And now she's working on getting them out, and it's worked. I guess when you're a billionaire, you can make strings, you can pull strings. So this is from the Independent. I'm gonna read this. As Kim Kardashian says, Menendez brothers have been granted a second chance at life. Kim Kardashian has said Eric and Lyle Menendez have been granted a second chance at life after Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gascon called for them to be resentenced. The Menendez brothers, who are serving life sentences for the 1989 murder of their parents, Jose and Kitty, real names, have been back in the public eye following the release of Ryan Murphy's Netflix series Monsters, the Kyle and Eric Menendez story. In a statement posted to her Instagram stories, Kardashian, 44, said, "The Menendez brothers were granted a second chance at life and will wake up tomorrow finally eligible for a parole hearing. They could be released in as early as 6 months. Thank you, George Gascon, for revisiting the Menendez brothers case and righting a significant wrong. Commitment to truth and fairness is commendable." What do you mean? Why? Because you watched the Netflix special that you did? Okay, so to bring you up to speed, if you haven't watched this Netflix special, spoiler alert, somewhat. But, I mean, you had a long time to watch. They're saying that they were abused, sexually. So, but, okay, so they're claiming all this, and that's the reason why they did it, and they felt threatened. They felt like their lives were in danger and all this kind of stuff. But then they went and premeditatively bought a couple shotguns and blasted their parents in their home, unsuspectingly. That sounds like you're threatened. I don't know. And these guys were men at that point. So I don't know. I'm of an idea that if you're a man and you feel threatened, that there's other things to do about it. I mean, if you're threatened and you're immediately threatened, that's different. Then you've got to defend yourself. But you can't say I was threatened and then I went and I ambushed somebody because I felt threatened. I don't know. I think if you do, then you deserve prison. I don't know why you get out. But, Kim Kardashian watched the show and got an idea. Lucky for these guys. So, whatever. To the brothers, family, friends, and millions who have been vocal supporters, your voices were heard. The media's fooks, especially on the heels of Ryan Murphy's TV show, helped expose the abuse and injustices in their case. I don't think it did that at all. It kind of it showed both sides. It showed it There's a possibility. It's their claims. Society's understanding of child abuse was evolved or has evolved, and social media empowers us to question the systems in place. This case highlights the importance of challenging decisions and seeking truth, even when guilt is not in question. This is kind of like fits the whole narrative of where we are nowadays, where it's like, all these people are performing petty crime. They're stealing food and, well, not even food. They're stealing, stereos and TVs and stuff because they can't buy food for themselves. So it's an oppressed society and we ought to help them. No, they're committing crimes. These guys committed a crime and they're doing time for their crime. And you hear their side of the story. You can't hear the other side of the story because they're not with us anymore. So they can't even defend themselves that way. And you just believe one side and you say, oh, well, I want to have these guys released. And you use your clout and your money, I'm guessing, or influence at the very least, to make that happen. I'm not impressed. Okay, so great. What if you're wrong? It would not hilarious, but it would be kind of karma for her. Not really for anybody else. Whatever. It would just be weird if they came out and they were to do something again. You're like, oh, well, shit. Maybe we've got it right the first time. I believe in the justice system's ability to evolve, and I am grateful for a society where we can challenge decisions and seek justice, she wrote, concluding her statement, never stop questioning. In a follow-up post, Kardashian added Eric and Lyle are immediately eligible for parole now that their sentence has been reduced to 50 years to life. In 2015, a bill was passed in California. Of course. California. Weird that it'd be California. Allowing individuals sentenced to life in prison before the age of 25 to seek parole after serving 25 years. Since Eric and Lyle have been in prison for 35 years, they qualify as youthful offenders and are immediately eligible for parole. So, I don't know. I'm against this. I'll just say wholeheartedly I'm against this. I think if you murdered some people, you're doing the time. That's what you should be doing. You look at some conjecture and somebody puts together a clever documentary series and it puts a little doubt in your head and suddenly that's enough. No, not enough. Whatever. So, I guess this just goes to show you that if you live in the right state, well, you can kind of get away with murder. So, let me know what you think in the comments. All right. Yeah. You guys are quiet that time. No thoughts on the Menendez brothers? Do you know anything about them? You watched the Netflix series, which I did. It was actually quite good. It's just funny that so many people jumped on that idea that the abuse was real when it looked like there was a chance that it wasn't. There was enough. It kind of the docu-series was done pretty well in a way to. It's like it threw a bunch of shit at the wall, so it was hard to. You could just pick what you liked. In other words, you could say, "Oh, I believe this," or I don't believe that. I just happen to look at things black and white. When you take a shotgun and you do what they did, I think they got it right. I think this one was just a slam dunk case, So 35 years later, everybody's re-looking at it. Going, oh. But of course, in California. All right. You guys are too quiet. Let me get on the next thing here. Boom, bada boom, bada boom, bada boom. Now you're going to start talking. The stupid delay. I'm going to be in the middle of the next thing. You're going to be talking about what we just talked about. And then here we go. Guilty or not, you decide. You don't get Netflix? Think you can't even get it online or anything? Or you just decided not to? Yes, it's so funny. You don't even think about that. You don't think about the fact that maybe things aren't available to you over there that are over here for us. But I don't know. I just think with the internet, you can get anything, but I could be wrong. So I'm sure you could look it up though. Like it's called Monsters, and I think I don't know. It's Monsters, the Lyle and Kyle Menendez story or something like that. So you can probably find it online or something like that, streaming or I don't know. I just get it on Netflix. So, all right, let me get to the next thing here. So Volkswagen is finally having some problems. I mean, they've been having problems for a little bit with the EV market and their attempt to get into the EV market in Europe. And now I think a few years of really trying to get a foothold in that is really started to affect their bottom line. I'll read this article. This is CNN, so it's the Clown News Network. So expect about as much from them. But something like this, they don't, not typically political, even though they'll find a way to put some politics in there. Let's see what they have to say. Historic moment for Volkswagen. Automaker plans to close at least 3 German plants and cut thousands of jobs. Volkswagen plans to close at least 3 factories in Germany, lay off tens of thousands of staff, and downsize remaining plants in the country, the company's employee group said Monday. The domestic factory closures would be the first in Volkswagen's 87-year history, and they lay bare the challenges facing Germany's largest manufacturer. The plans are already facing pushback from labor unions in the country, where Volkswagen employs 295,000 people, setting the stage for possible strikes in the coming weeks. Volkswagen has been locked in negotiations with unions for weeks over its plans to cut costs and restructure business operations. If VW confirms its dystopian path on Wednesday, the board must expect the corresponding consequences on our part. Thorsten Groger, lead negotiator for one of the Germany's most powerful unions, IG Metall, said in a statement Monday. While a potential strike is only possible starting December 1st in terms of an agreement between the union and Volkswagen, IG Metall told CNN that tens of thousands of workers are ready to express their dissatisfaction with management. In its statement Monday, Volkswagen's Works Council, which represents employees and holds half the seats on the company's board, said that the planned cuts, which include slashing all workers' pay by 10%, were deeper than expected and of historic dimensions. All German VW plants are affected by this. None of them are safe, Works Council chairperson Daniela Cavallo added. She said that Volkswagen planned to move some production abroad to outsource it to other companies and warned workers against dismissing its proposals as simply a negotiating tactic. This is the plan of Germany's largest industrial group to start sell-off in its home country, Cavallo noted. Volkswagen, one of the world's biggest car makers, has warned that it needs a radical overhaul as the group faces growing competition in China and slowing sales elsewhere. And what they're talking about here is it's basically the EV market they're talking about. They're not funny that they don't say it. This is where the Clown News Network really drops the ball here. This is all spurned by the EV market that they've been trying to push in Europe. VW and Audi's affiliate through VW, they've been pushing an EV model of Audi in Europe, and it's just not taking. It's too expensive. People aren't buying it. China's coming in with a cheaper EV. Tesla's doing the same in Europe. Tesla's working on like a $25,000 model in just in Europe. They might push it around the rest of the Western world and stuff, but they've been working on this for a while. So this is basically all EV competition, and it's not working for Volkswagen. They've been really trying to make the shift over to EV, and it's obviously not panning out. They're starting to lose. They're realizing they're losing a lot of money. So this is their way of mitigating those losses. But they won't mention it in this article. That's what's really going on. According to executives, the automaker is selling 500,000 fewer cars in Europe a year compared with its pre-pandemic levels, the equivalent of around 2 car plants. Volkswagen reiterated those sentiments in a statement Monday. The fact is the situation is serious. Human Resources Board member Gunnar Killen said, without comprehensive measures to regain competitiveness, we will not be able to afford essential future investments. Thomas Schaefer, the CEO of Volkswagen Passenger Cars, added that its German factories were not productive enough and that plant costs were as much as 50% above what the company had budgeted for, making individual plants twice as expensive as the competition. Anyways, they're not really telling the full story. Of course, they're not telling the full story because the full story would involve EV. And EV right now is hot, and it's a very left-leaning hot thing. Anybody who's a little bit more moderate conservative, maybe even moderate liberal, will understand that the EV market is a little bit of a bust. We just don't have the power. We don't have the infrastructure to charge these cars, let alone replace a whole industry that's been thriving for years suddenly, and drastically, right? So right now, I think the EV market represents about 10% or so in Europe. That's really a drop in the bucket. And if you're trying to put a lot of innovation, a lot of money, and a lot of effort towards pushing that market, well, you're going to take some losses, some financial losses, especially if you're not first in, which they weren't. So this is a lot more to do with the EV market than it is just a downed auto market in general, but you won't hear that from CNN, obviously. Germany needs to start using tariffs. Yeah, it's the start of Germany becoming Detroit. Yeah, that's sad, but yeah, it's the EV market, man. The EV market's running into some problems. They're realizing that all of this push, it's not going to work. They just can't do it. You have to, in Europe, like in say in France, they might be able to get away with a little more because they have a better infrastructure for like nuclear and such, right? So they can probably power the cars, and of course that's not even getting into the environmental impact of these EVs. That's a whole other discussion. But this idea that you're going to replace the internal combustion engine with a battery, with a massive environmentally destroying battery, it's just not feasible at this point. And I think Volkswagen is finding it out the hard way. And unfortunately, they're not really finding it out the hard way. It's going to be the workers that are going to find out the hard way, because realistically, they're just going to cut to make sure that they get, the investment return that they want, anybody who's actually heavily invested in this company. So it's just, of course, it's always going to be the workers that hold the bag on that. EV's a joke here. There are about 10 in the whole country. Yeah. They just, I'm not, listen, EVs have their place. As a small commuter back and forth, if you have a job that's maybe 20, 30 kilometers or miles away, okay, cool. Yeah. You're going to commute to and from work, small commutes around, things like that. Yeah. EVs are great. I mean, to charge an EV, like a full charge, costs you a couple of dollars. Great. You save money long-term on fuel, but you got to pay a little bit more. There's a higher sticker like sticker tag price at the start, right? So like it kind of offsets itself in different ways. You got a lower resale value on them because obviously people are concerned about battery life. There's a number of things. They're not quality builds. Tesla's gotten a lot like quite a bit better in the last years, but again, there's a number of things. There's a number of things that are detriments to that whole market. So sensible people, mostly will find ways to not buy them because they don't need it. Again, it's, if you can use it, all the power to you, but you're just trying to replace your internal combustion engine with an EV. It's probably not going to work for you. Like overall, the flexibility and the power, the ability to just go get gas if you need gas somewhere, as opposed to having to wait to power up your EV if you made a mistake and didn't charge it overnight or something. There's so many inconveniences to it, right? So, yeah, they knew it wouldn't work from the jump. Yeah. So, yeah, it's like these countries that are trying to push these initiatives. It seems like the right thing to do, but when you look into it, it really isn't. It's just awful. It's just awful for the environment, just to make these batteries, all of the effort and everything that goes into making them. I don't know, just like it's a hard trade-off, put it that way. Quite a few Roros have burnt to the waterline lately from EVs. I understand that comment there, Robert. Well, that sounds like a little bit of your lingo mixed in there. Roro. Burnt to the waterline. Sounds like a cool statement that I just don't understand. So you'll have to explain that in freaky deaky Western English to me, since you know it. 500 trillion into that. Deliberate self-induced opinion. Oh, okay. All right. Very well. That's an interesting way to say that. But yeah, no, I don't know. I could do a whole podcast on thoughts on this. It's just governments trying to make them and their friends money using the fear and word I'm looking for. Responsible, you know, like people's need to do what's responsible and what's good for the environment. It's them using all that against us to push a narrative or push an idea that just isn't. It doesn't. Losing my thought here, but it doesn't actually do what it says it's supposed to do. EV vehicles aren't better for the environment overall, and they'll sell it on the idea that they are. It's like windmills. Same thing with windmills. Windmills are never better for the environment. They're just a big joke, and they push this idea of it. The Green Initiative, a lot of it is just it's aptly named the Green Initiative because it's just taking green from someone else and giving it to a bunch of other people. It's just a big monetary transfer is what it is. So Ro-Ro is a roll-on, roll-off cargo or carrier cargo ship. I didn't know that. Look at that, I'm learning lingo. All right, I got one last thing to talk about. I'm going to get through this quick, and then we'll get on. What are you saying? Stop paying my taxes as much as I could 3 years ago because I'm tired of the government not using the money responsibly. Well, hopefully that works out for you, buddy. I don't like paying taxes as much as you don't, but I do because I'm afraid they're going to come after some of my stuff. So I pay them, unfortunately, but I try and pay as little as I can. I take every write-off I can possibly take. I utilize everything I can do to keep as much money as I can. So I give the mafia their due. So Delhi is finally starting to acknowledge that Delhi has a problem with air pollution. I think we kind of knew this was coming or it was happening, but it's getting worse. It's getting pretty bad. This is an article from the BBC. The BBC is just another bad organization, but let's see what they have to say over here. Worry over toxic Delhi air as pollution worsens. Air quality in India's capital, Delhi, has deteriorated to severe and extremely poor levels in the past few days, data shows. Pollution levels crossed 25 to 30 times the World Health Organization's recommended safe limit at several locations in the city last week. You know, you have to really believe what the WHO has to say about anything because their credibility is really high. Experts have warned that the situation will worsen in the coming days due to weather conditions, use of firecrackers during the festival of Diwali on Thursday, and burning of crop remains in neighboring states. Kind of funny. Use of firecrackers is a problem. Delhi and several northern Indian cities report extreme levels of air pollution between October and January every year, causing disruption to businesses, shutting down of schools and offices. The levels of tiny particulate matter, known as PM 2.5, which can enter deep into the lungs and cause a host of diseases, reached as high as 350 micrograms per cubic meter in some areas on Monday. On Monday, data from government-run Safar website shows. According to the website, air quality is categorized as very poor when PM 2.5 levels reach 300 to 400, and it's termed severe when the limit reaches 4 to 500. Delhi gets enveloped in a thick blanket of smog every winter due to smoke, dust, low wind speed, vehicular emissions, and crop stubble burning. In November and December, farmers in the neighboring states of Punjab and Haryana burn crop stubble to clear their fields. Farming groups say they need financial and technical help to find alternative ways to clearing crop remains, but government schemes have so far not yet been effective. Smoke from firecrackers set off during Diwali adds to the problem. Like every year, the Delhi government has announced a complete ban on the manufacturing, storage, and sale of fireworks ahead of the festival, which falls later this week. But such bans have not been completely effective in the past as people source fireworks from other states. The Delhi government has also enacted its Graded Response Action Plan, known as GRAP, to tackle pollution. It bans all activities which involve the use of coal and firewood, as well as diesel generator use for non-emergency services. Authorities in Delhi have warned residents to stay indoors as much as possible and have curbed construction activity in the city. They also have urged people to use public transport to cut vehicular emissions. if you see all those videos of people jumping on trains and stuff, they're already using public transport. But public transport, I don't think there's any more room on the trains. Not a square inch up on the outside of those trains, man. You know, you can only hold on to each other so much. You gotta watch for passing signs and stuff like that. This is not good. All jokes aside, this is not good. It's problems, and obviously, you know, this air is not. It doesn't stay where it's generated. Wind blows it away. So, you know, we get this pollution over here. We get this pollution everywhere. This goes around the world. Unfortunately, it goes with the wind currents. And if they're producing a lot of pollution there in Delhi, it's a problem for everybody. So, if you start coughing in the next couple months, it's probably you can blame Delhi for it. What are you saying here? Oh yeah. Well, they can't take much from you. I guess that's a good thing. If you work with just cash, well, then they can't take anything. I know people that haven't paid taxes in years. No, I don't. I don't know anybody personally that have not paid income taxes in years. That would be wrong. Green onions and bacon. You mean the boulevard defecators don't keep the air clean? I'm shocked, I say. Well, listen, where are they gonna defecate? You gotta take a shit. I actually watched a video recently of a guy. It was odd because I didn't expect it. He goes to knock on someone's door, and apparently he's going to give him a quote on something, like a landscaper guy. And suddenly he just goes, you can see, like, shit himself, and then he shakes it out his leg. I'm guessing that probably happens a lot in Delhi. No offense, anybody who might be watching from Delhi. I'm just guessing when you put that many people in a small place, wow, shit happens. They should harvest the air and the carbon dioxide and make graphene out of it. Well, if they can do that, that would be smart. But yeah, all right. Well, we're over an hour now, and we're cutting into Timcast for you there, Joe. So I'm gonna bid adieu to everyone who watched. Thank you for watching. If you did, thanks Robert and Joe for being with me. You always make the podcast better when I can talk to somebody. Yeah, if you do watch and you're not yet a subscriber, do hit the subscribe. That will help the channel grow. Also, if you do like the podcast and you like the content, you should share it with your friends. Share it with everybody. Share it with people who don't even want it. Just share it with them. Just be like, take a random person here. Watch this. And like, comment, all that kind of stuff. Comment, I don't care if it's negative. Comment negative if you want. Just make it funny. Don't be a douche and put stupid stuff and I got to read it and be like, oh, man, this is dumb. Just make it funny. I don't care if you mock me as bad as you want. Say something stupid about me. Somebody commented about my Hurley hat on one of the videos, which I thought was kind of funny in a way. But yeah, I wear a Hurley hat sometimes. But yeah, and if you missed any part of the podcast and you don't want to watch the whole thing again, I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to watch an hour of me either. So just check me out. Check out the small sections of video as I release them Tuesday to Sunday, 5:00 Eastern Standard Time. And like, comment, share, all that kind of shit with those when you do. And check me out next week. I should be here next Monday. If I'm not, I'm not. But most likely I will be here Monday, 7:00. Look for the podcast live. Join me, Joe, Robert, some other people sometimes that jump into the comments. Jump into the comments, talk to me, say some things, have an opinion. I won't blast you for it unless you're stupid, and then I will. But if you're not, then I won't. What are you saying there? Tim's been kind of boring lately. Yeah. He was talking about stopping the one show. He was whining about that a little bit. I thought that was kind of funny. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. He has been a little bit. He hasn't talked much either. He's letting all his people talk a lot more. I don't know what's going on with him. I guess he's, now he's gonna have a kid and all this stuff, and he's letting his personal life kind of belly in. That happens, I guess. But I listen to Tim a lot. I just don't listen to him live. I won't go watch him after this. I'll check him out tomorrow or something. But yeah, okay. Well, that's it for me. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Robert. We'll see you next week for all of you. And for anybody else, well, whatever. See you when I see you. Whoop.